Hello, everybody, and welcome back to You Can't Win. This is Tom here, and I'm joined by Don as usual. We're going to talk a little bit today about the new Dave Chappelle special. I think it's called The Closer. Both Don and I watched it, so figured we could talk about that a little bit. It was kind of in the news with people doing a walkout at Netflix and stuff like that. So
yeah. And it's also sort of at like the tail end of the take cycle, I think, so that like I feel more okay talking about it because it seems like people are calming down a bit, maybe both directions and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, the thing is, all the stuff I've heard from people talking about it, they're all like, yeah, I haven't seen it, but da 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 da.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay. So we actually watched it. So a little bit more informed about it, I guess. But yeah, then we'll probably just do some questions and stuff. See how that goes.
Sure.
Yeah, so the Chappelle special, I thought it was all right. I feel like a lot of his stuff lately is a little bit weird, just kind of like preachy, and he seems to be getting into like out of touch rich guy status, and I get a lot of weird like Obama energy from him now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something just kind of clicked. I was like, oh, he's basically doing like Obama there.
Like America's Dad kind of thing?
Yeah, but even like the way he talks, like there's a few things where it was like, oh, that little like stuttery kind of thing. Like Obama does that to be like relatable and folksy and stuff, and like Chappelle sort of did it at one point, and it just struck me as like very Obama style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, and also kind of like a little bit fake or something, like something a little off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I love Dave Chappelle. I think he's hilarious. I think he's one of the best stand-ups ever. I think he's like a smart person. I like hearing what he has to say about things. But he's just getting a little weird, I guess.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience where it felt like it's strange because Dave Chappelle is one of the most confident people.
Yeah,
when he's speaking, he can just
kind
of deliver it. But I felt like in this one, both he wasn't really 100% there in terms of his full weight behind it kind of thing. I think, and also the audience was really had no idea what to do. I think in I mean he's so funny that they'll laugh at a lot of it, but there's a lot of points where like he had to kind of corral them in different directions, and like they reacted sometimes in ways that he didn't really want them to and stuff, and I thought that was strange because usually it's the opposite. Like usually that's what he has, is just that astonishing control, like just really, really able to focus and make it seem like anything he says, even if it's off the wall, is just like 100% what he believes down to his core and stuff. And I thought that the other specials that he did for Netflix, he usually got that a lot better, I think. Yeah. Like when he started talking about, I mean, in one of them, I can't remember which one it is, but like, maybe it's like, the one that's like the bird or whatever it's called. I can't remember, but like, he basically sounds like he's giving like the Eisenhower speech or something like that kind of thing. Like basically like saying like, the industry will destroy you and all this kind of stuff, and going on about,
like military industrial complex.
yeah. So like really, really like that seemed like really much more. This one was kind of, I don't know. It didn't seem. It was like very, very well set up and everything, I guess, kind of thing. But it didn't hit for me. I don't know, the same way that the other ones did, kind of thing. So.
This one felt like a follow-up tweet. Like if you had sometimes people will tweet something and then they'll reply to it.
Yeah.
This one kind of felt like a reply to what he had previously been saying, where it's like too much in the weeds and like kind of responding to what other people are saying that maybe don't really deserve it doesn't, not the people, but like that conversation doesn't necessarily deserve like its own thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked this one was a little bit more like jokey. It was less like one-man show style speech stuff than the previous ones, and I really liked that aspect of it. But the jokes were a little bit weird sometimes.
Sure.
They were kind of like, it was like this sort of nuanced social commentary thing. And then like a lot of kind of like trying to do like a harsh icebreaker kind of a joke.
Yeah.
But sometimes the jokes just felt like really shallow or something.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
there was like a mismatch in tone. Maybe it's not, tone isn't the right thing, but like something didn't really feel quite right about the pairing of the jokes and like his more serious statements and stuff.
Yeah. And like I was thinking of it as like pyrotechnics or something like that, like where at certain points in it he pivots on sort of like extremely disturbing sort of things, kind of thing, like just that happened to people that he knows and stuff. And like it just really it's supposed to be part of this sort of narrative, but because the narrative can't really conclude, it's like, it's sort of like, because his whole point at the end is sort of like muddled at the end, kind of thing. I mean, that's sort of his point. His point is being like, well, there's maybe this conversation about race versus gender and all this kind of stuff that's not really taking place in a respectful way and all that kind of stuff, you know, and like that if there's going to be solidarity, it has to go both ways and all this kind of stuff, you know. But it's strange because I don't know if you can really do that with the stand-up comedy special in the way that, like, you know, there's something flippant about doing a comedy special about anything, kind of thing, you know, like there's something like sort of just silly or, you know, undercutting or something about, you know, even if you can point to really important things, but you can't really make it like okay, we're going to sit down and hammer out these problems or something like that together, kind of thing, you know, like, you know, it's and then he kind of undercuts that a lot within it too, by being like, he kind of has to take really strong positions at certain points to just make it flow and make it like actually, you know, make it like seem vital what he's saying, instead of just saying this certain things annoy me kind of thing, you know, like saying that like he's a TERF and all that kind of stuff. And it just and the thing is that, like, I have 100% no problem if he's going to do that kind of thing, if he just went in that direction and just did that and then said that, like, you know, I don't know, something about how it doesn't really matter, the debate, to him or something like that maybe. But instead he goes really, really far in this almost like Hannah Gatsby kind of way or something like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
A
like
little
just,
bit, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
just kind of being like, you know, being like, oh, someone died, basically. And it's okay, well, I don't know. Yeah. So it gets really a bit strange at that point and stuff. And, but it's hard because, he is just so, you know, he's just like a singular talent, like just that one of his, you know, it's still worth watching, I think, just because, anything he does is worth watching, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there were a lot of moments where I was just like kind of nodding my head, like, yeah, finally someone said this. This is like a reasonable person's take on this whatever thing. And then like some of the jokes were just like really funny, like laugh out loud funny. I honestly don't like laugh out loud at things very often. I guess if you listen to this podcast, you'll maybe have picked up on that. Neither of us are like,
yeah,
you know, laughing all the time and stuff. But there were a few moments in this where it just kind of like caught me off guard and it just got me good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it, but there's just something kind of weird going on with him that I think it does seem like, to me, like just a rich guy in the tower kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like looking down on all of us and sort of like casting his, you know, pontificating and just like, this is how I see it from my vantage point. And I don't know. Yeah. It's a little bit obnoxious.
My sense of the protest too, that has sort of happened afterwards, and that is that it sort of fizzled. I'm not sure if you saw the pictures from it or anything like that, but I mean, I don't know how many people were going to walk out anyways, like to start with, but I think that, like, you know, the sort of journalism cycle around it really, really pumped it up as being like some huge internal division. And then the number of people that came out looked like there was maybe a few dozen people in the whole crowd. And a lot of those people were like allied people kind of thing that just showed up. in support kind of thing. It wasn't like, it was only a handful of their staff. And I feel like it was probably a lot of people like in the, they have like certain like diversity department kind of stuff. And it's like, well, it's almost like I wash my hands of this kind of thing, It's like you just go out and say that you protested and that you're fighting for change and stuff, and then you feel better about going back and working for Netflix or something. So, and
it seems like it was like one group DM,
basically,
like one group chat basically organized it all together.
Sure, and it's hard to know because I don't really know how many people work for Netflix like directly, anyways. Like I don't know, that might be like representative of like a significant share or something like that, but it doesn't sound like that. Netflix is very weird in this way, where like a lot of their they're very, very like secretive about how they operate a lot of the times, and like it's not like the old Hollywood system where like it just it's all these really star producers and stuff that like are really well known and have all these connections and stuff like that. It's much more like you're dealing with a blob kind of thing, it seems like, and so that kind of gets weird in some ways with this kind of stuff, because it's not like, it's hard to know what like is going to change, because you don't know their metrics. You don't know like the way that it looks like it works for a lot of other things. I'm not sure if you've heard this, but like it's basically like it's if you've clicked on it and watched a few seconds or something like that, they count that as like their win.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it's not stuff like critical reception and whether or not people are watching a lot of it or anything like that. It's more like pulling people into getting, it's just basically interaction with the app at some level on a semi-regular basis. That's about it, because that's enough to keep you subscribed. And apparently the way that it works there too is that like everyone that works there is supposed to be really like on top of everything, like really aggressively, like basically like you either work for Netflix and that's what your life, or you go do something else and that's fine. But if you're at Netflix, that's your whole life basically. So I think that sort of weird culture plays into maybe some of the debates around it and stuff too, where it's like, I don't know, it's like Havana syndrome for Netflix people or something. It's like I'm working for this company that's like asking my entire life of me, and then I can't like brag about every aspect of it to people and stuff. So I don't know.
I heard the walkout thing. It was a few people like interrupted a boardroom meeting, like it was like a Zoom style meeting, but people just sort of like interrupted it or whatever, and then that's why they got fired. It wasn't like the protest of the thing itself or anything like that. It was just the fact that they're just like intruding on really high level meetings like that, which is I mean, fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, but kind of... you kind of have to have some. You don't want that happening all the time, but there's got to be some give and take for employees being able to kind of complain and stuff.
But my point is, it like you were kind of indicating earlier, like journalists kind of like made this out to be something that it's not really what it was, and that wasn't something that I had heard from headlines or Twitter stuff or anything like that. It was somebody kind of just talking about it on a podcast. So it's like, oh, okay, that's interesting that's in like, not that it changes things too much, but like the fact that that was specifically the reason that people were fired is different from being like, oh, people spoke out against like Netflix and then they got fired. Like that's a different thing.
Yeah, I but I mean that like the journalists were like basically like saying that like there might be like 1,300 people there or something like that kind of thing, or something like that. There was some huge number that they were floating.
That was the meeting, the size of the meeting.
No, the protest outside.
Oh, the protest. Okay.
They were like,
damn.
They were hyping it up as like basically like a major labor action and stuff, and there was like a mini back and forth about this where people were saying, imagine if this coverage was given to like, other union protests and stuff that are happening right now, all the different strikes and stuff, and then people were like, this is a union protest basically, like it is a worker protest, because anyway, it just it's one of those things where the closer, the deeper you get into the debate, the less you just get it's just, you just feel dumber getting into it. So,
yeah.
But, yeah, I'm not sure. One thing I was thinking of is, when I was watching the Dave Chappelle thing too, is that it felt like him quitting again to some extent. You know what I mean? It felt like him being like, I know this was like the end of his order for this, and you know, he obviously could make a lot more money doing more in the future, but like, it's like, I think he was paid something like $20 million each for these or something like that, just a huge amount of money. And I think that like there was something about it to me where it felt like he had that sort of like glimmer of self-destructive kind of as part of it. And I don't know where that's coming from or whatever, in any direction or whatever, but he does sort of play that up a lot in the actual special about like making it like, oh, you know, I'm gonna leave it all on the stage and stuff like that, like kind of like really go all the way and stuff like that. And it's funny because I don't know, I guess maybe he does, but like I don't know. It's strange because it's hard to come up with anything new on like, say, like the trans debate and stuff like that at this point, kind of thing too. So it's kind of more just like his own experience and stuff he has to go through. But then that gets like sort of jarring in the way that he does it and stuff. So it's like, I don't know. So, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know where he can, I don't know, like, like what else is he going to do? I guess after he's kind of set himself up for that in his other specials to, I don't know. Like, I'm not, you know, I can't rewrite his thing for him. I'm not good enough to do that, but you know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't know. He might have sort of built himself that sort of position where he can't like, you can't just go back to sort of like jokey jokes after you've done the industry's going to destroy you and stuff like that kind of stuff, you know? So
yeah, maybe. I was thinking about like his whole, like, he talks a lot about like how he left Comedy Central, like 50 million on the table and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like, he talks about that more than, than most other people care about, you know?
Yeah.
And I think part of that is that maybe it's very obvious to him, but I don't think it's obvious to other people why that is important, or at least important in his mind, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think, I don't know, I was, again, listening to a podcast of people talking about this, and they were stand-ups and stuff, and they were talking about why they thought it was important. And I never thought about it this way. You know, I'm not in the comedy like business or anything, so I don't really think about this kind of stuff or have this insight. But they were kind of mentioning like it was important because it like allowed people to like he was able to push back against like corporate control of the medium a little bit as an individual, and I think that may have like enabled other people to kind of do a lot more of this like independent kind of stuff that is relatively like a good way to go, it seems, you know, like putting specials out on YouTube yourself and stuff like that. Because I think like had he just stuck with Comedy Central, it would have still been the path, you know? You get a show, somebody signs you onto some kind of show, and then that's your path to success. He kind of like said, no, that, like, screw that, and walked away from it. And I think it is like, I don't really know. I'm not in this industry or anything, but it makes sense to me that like kind of throws a wrench into things where it's like, okay, the biggest guy just walks away from it and does his own thing. It sort of allows other people to do their own thing a little bit more, sure. You know? Yeah,
that makes sense. I hadn't thought of it that way, but I mean, it's hard to know. It's hard to say that he's doing his own thing at this point, kind of thing, to some extent. I mean, he is, but like, it's like, you know, it's just it's one of Netflix's biggest customers and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
sure, but I think he has like full creative control. Like, I don't think they really are telling him like, maybe cut that, because like you can kind of tell like there's plenty of stuff that if they were doing that with him, I feel like there's a lot of stuff in those things that wouldn't be there, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this last special was almost entirely about this kind of stuff, which was, I mean, to be honest, just sort of a feat in and of itself to make that entertaining enough. You know, like
Sure.
it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it was still pretty good. And to make something that's almost entirely just like responding to the LGBT community is like the whole premise of the special. I don't know. That's shows kind of like how good he is at this.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody else, it would just be like, I don't know. I'd turn it off within minutes. Like, who cares?
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, some really good lines. I thought, you know, punched him right in the AIDS is a pretty funny one, and I'm here to negotiate the release of the baby is pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was good.
Yeah, a few things I can't really repeat were pretty good about Clifford.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
I like that he's just dropping hard R's and stuff too.
Sure.
Like it's just feels like, okay, finally, like someone's just like doing comedy and just like not playing by all these weird rules that we just invented. Like it's just
sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so I liked it. I guess there's another aspect to it, which is that like he's Muslim, and that didn't come up really explicitly or anything. There was like a few points where he talks about like drinking and being drunk and stuff. I'm like, you're not supposed to talk about that, Dave.
Yeah.
But like also like the beginning, it starts off. I mean, first it has that incredibly corny thing with the records, like someone like going through the different records, like their vinyl records of his different specials, and it's just like very cheesy. But the song that plays is like a Mos Def song, and very Islamic, to be honest. Like the lyrics were like tons of Quranic either quotes or allusions. Like almost every line in it was some kind of an Islamic reference. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then also kind of, I don't know, I feel like he's you know, he's not like Muslim, you know what I mean? Like that's not like his whole thing or whatever. Yeah. He's just like a person who is Muslim. So I kind of have some, I don't know. I just feel like I can like connect to him about that a little bit.
Sure.
Like there's someone he likes making jokes. He kind of like has this irreverent sensibility about, you know, what's going on socially and stuff. And he's Muslim and he's like serious about that. But at the same time, it's like, he's not like a very like uptight, stereotypical kind of pious person or something like that, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I kind of appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like that he doesn't bring that into his act about like any of these issues too. Like it would be, he handles it pretty well. Like I remember a long time ago, he had mentioned something like he didn't like to talk about the fact that he was Muslim because he's not a good representative of the faith. Mm-hmm. You know, like he like the drinking and like saying all this crazy stuff. Like it's not something you really want to be like, oh, and by the way, I'm Muslim. So
sure. Yeah.
Which clearly I'm also following in the footsteps by going by Muslim Tom and then saying all the stupidest things I can think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Good special. Thumbs up for me.
Yeah, I had a hard time like trying to rate it in my head. I was like, I didn't even really bother at the end of the day. I just kind of said, well, I thought it was worthwhile to watch. That's kind of my takeaway kind of thing.
So you had the two things where it's like, was this worth like the time? How did you phrase it? Like, was this a good use of my time or something like that?
Yeah, I only like it on Letterboxd if it's a good use of my time, limited time on Earth.
Right.
And so I did that. I thought, yes, that is true. But I didn't really have like a coherent emotional response to how I watch it. Like, it feels strange to give it like 4 out of 5 or something like that. You know what I mean? It just feels like, I don't know. It doesn't feel like in that sort of category. It feels more like a play or something. Where you're not like, you don't necessarily go see a play and you're like, oh yeah, that was a 3.5 out of 5, kind of in the same way that you would with like a Hollywood blockbuster or something. So
I give it a 3.76.
Okay.
Out of 5.
Sure. Was there any special?
I was just thinking about it and that felt right.
Okay. Sure.
It's not a 4. It's better than a 3.5. Then 3.76 sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
yeah, we got a HBO Max login from somebody.
Oh yeah.
So we are gonna check out all the junk that's on there. I guess Dune is on there, so we can watch that. True Detective. I've only seen the first season, so I want to catch up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I signed up for the Canadian equivalent for it, which is called Crave. You can get like Crave plus HBO, and it's actually garbage because it costs $20 a month Canadian, right? And doesn't have all of the HBO Max stuff. Like it just has HBO stuff, but like not like it'll have like the newer stuff. It doesn't have like Dune or any of the movies or anything like that because they're separate agreements in Canada, right? So it's like they have to play Dune in the theaters for like 90 days before they can rent it and all that kind of stuff, you know? So we don't get any of like the the Sopranos movie. You don't get that. You don't get any of the other ones. And I don't know. It's very irritating. But but the reason why I signed up for it was because they have all of the old James Bond movies. And I've started watching those because I'd never seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, let's just. I really enjoy all the different spy movies and stuff, and I really like all the different Bond movies I've seen. So I was like, I'm going to go back and watch the Sean Connery ones and all, you know, and work through them and stuff. And it's funny because I was really surprised at how, like, they're just like, they feel almost like 60s TV shows to me or something. They feel like Batman or something, like really goofy, kind of, not really that cinematic kind of thing, more kind of like just, I don't know. So I've never seen them before in my life, which is sort of strange because they just, you know, I've seen so much of other stuff, but like, and I, you know, but I just never, I always thought they were sort of like goofy in a weird way, but I like them. But yeah, so far I've watched the first half of From Russia with Love and then all of Dr. No, and I'm going to just work through them this fall kind of thing. So yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. There's like 25 of them, I think, total, including the newer ones. So yeah.
Yeah, they made a lot of those things, I guess.
Sure.
I think I've only seen a little bits here and there of those old ones, so I don't really know even what they're like.
Yeah. They're very colonial in different ways. Like the From Russia with Love one is takes place in Istanbul.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all like, you know,
fez hats and
the guy's
monkeys
name is
or whatever.
The station chief or whatever whoever he is his name is Harim Bey or something, and you know, just I don't know, it's just very I don't know, very, very on the nose, but it's fun. So there's like gypsies in it and stuff, and I don't know, and Bulgarians and all this. I don't know, it's really, I don't know. I'm also realizing all the stuff that's like from, you know, like that's in Austin Powers. I finally get the references directly kind of thing now. So
yeah,
because they're all like that. So
Austin Powers was good. That was a good movie.
Sure.
Classic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the Canadian HBO situation.
Yeah.
Like, are there like violent criminal black markets about HBO shows and stuff under this oppressive regime?
Well, I think a lot of people do pirate stuff, but no, it's not like the HBO shows themselves you can get on this service, but like the newer ones, like, you know, any of the Succession or whatever, and any of those will be on it. But you can, you know, like the movies will be playing, but they'll just be playing on like normal theaters. So, but there's a lot of little things like that in Canada where the rights are a little bit unclear or confusing. Like our Netflix sucks compared to yours. So, like I would say we have a small fraction of the content on ours. I mean, it's changing a bit because Netflix produces its own stuff a lot now, you know, so it just puts that on it too, and
so that's on everywhere, I guess.
I think so, but I think that there's also like sometimes that doesn't work out because I think sometimes they have like joint agreements and stuff where it's like, I don't know, Netflix is very kind of strange like that because they're trying to sort of thread the needle of like, okay, well, we've got like we're a digital platform, but we also want to like support theaters kind of thing, you know, like they don't want like, so they have like agreements where it's like, okay, they have to play them for 90 days or something, or, you know, so I don't know. So sometimes we don't get stuff right away, I don't think, on Netflix, but like, anyways, it's just I'm not sure how interesting that is to anyone that's not Canadian, but like, it's like it's a, I don't know, just an irritating thing because, yeah.
What's the point of all that free healthcare if you don't even have decent Netflix or HBO? Like, what are you living for, you know?
Yeah. A lot of things like that. A lot of things like we don't have Venmo or whatever it is, Cash Pay or whatever it is, like all those different things. We don't have any of those things.
You guys don't have anything like that?
Well, we have something that's called Interac e-Transfer.
Good Lord.
Which it like charges per thing and stuff. It's not great. You have to like enter a password and all this stuff. It's not like just as simple as Venmo or something. So, yeah. Although partly because our banks are like really, really, you know, try to be conservative about this kind of stuff, and the regulators are really tough on it. But I think part of it is just like, you know, keeping out foreign competition and stuff, which is actually, it's not necessarily a bad thing overall in terms of like, you know, so our banking system doesn't collapse and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, it's sort of irritating how slow things roll out here for the consumer. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. That makes me think crypto is going to take off whenever like actual crypto as a payment system takes off on some level. Makes me think that's going to be very big in Canada. So that'll be,
yeah. We have like Coinbase
financial prediction.
Yeah. Yeah, we have Coinbase and stuff like that. But yeah, we also, until very recently, our trading systems, like all the different online brokerages and stuff, tended to have a lot of fees. They still do, I think. So they have like low fees, but like, you know, it still costs like $10 to trade on most, or something like that, on most banks' websites and stuff. So, so I mean, that's a lot smaller than it used to be, even. But like, yeah, we still have. It's sort of it's conservative in a lot of ways. So yeah, it's not like, you know, we don't have the equivalent. We don't have Robinhood in Canada, I don't think. So, yeah, where you can just trade with no fees. Well, no visible fees. Yeah.
Yeah. That's depressing, Don. You really bummed me out.
Sure. Okay.
Should we get into questions now?
Sure. I'm just going to take a quick break. But
yeah, I got to go take a whiz. I'll be back. All right. So to kick off the questions, we'll start with this one. It says, Don reminds me of a hobbit who doesn't want to go on an adventure. Does he also have a fondness for pipe tobacco and homes built into hills?
I've gotten this throughout my life. So even when I was, even when I was, what do you call it? Weighed less kind of thing. I used to be, for most of my life, was sort of an average weight, and I looked even more like Keebler Elf. I get, stuff like that. So I don't know.
Homes built into the hills, maybe kind of socialist Albania kind of a thing, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I don't know about the pipe tobacco. That doesn't seem your style.
Yeah, I'm not really.
Have you ever tried pipe tobacco, any kind of thing like that?
No, not at all.
All right. Okay, next one is that it has been argued a lot that most ideological justifications of modern lone wolf terror attacks are some manifestation of nihilism. But do you think in the future we will see people putting aside the facades and doing these acts explicitly in the name of nihilism itself? That feels right. That feels like true.
Yeah, I always think that those sci-fi things were like, you can imagine people basically wanting to destroy the world and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying that's like a 100% chance it's going to happen, but like I could see more like terrorist stuff of people just like releasing things into the wild just to cause havoc and stuff. I don't know. Like all the real like Joker-ified people and stuff. I don't know. I could see that.
I feel like French stuff is almost like is pretty close to some of this already. Some of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, I don't think it would take too much to get us to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think 10 years ago where we were at with, I don't know, just like the coherence of political thought, I feel like 10 years ago was a long ways, long time ago. So 10 years from now or so, maybe, I don't know.
I think that we kind of, in terms of like the nihilism of terrorism in different ways, I feel like we took that's a pun, but we took a sharp turn in that direction. When people started driving trucks into people,
Mm-hmm.
because like with all like the bombs and stuff, it's still like sort of pseudo military in a different way. If you've got like a bomb or even like flying a plane into something, it's like, you've got like it's somehow you're just basically labeling civilians as military targets and stuff. But when it's like a truck or a van or something, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more closer to just normal psycho murder or something like that kind of thing. Like just. So that was probably a bad turn towards that. We're gonna see more. Like even it gets more into like the psycho mass shooting stuff than. To some extent. So yeah.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. Next one is, do Muslims or Arabs get mad about the movie Aladdin, or is that a bunch of woke nonsense? I've never talked to anybody about the movie Aladdin. I don't know. I don't think it's ever come up. It probably doesn't come up very often. I think the people that would get upset about it are the type of people that would talk about something like that, like it's, like who else would talk about it, except people who are upset about it. So maybe people who are like, why do they keep calling it Aladdin instead of Aladdin or something?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Or like,
I mean, it's not really my place to say, but I feel like a lot of people don't really care if it's like stereotypical. They just like seeing something that they're not used to seeing on TV that they kind of relate to in some way, like people that look like them or a culture or a country or something that they're from there or something, and they see it on TV and like I think that's exciting enough. They don't really care about the stereotypes and stuff.
Yeah, I learned that when the hard way, like sort of with Breaking Bad, because I saw like Breaking Bad to me has like a lot of like characters in it. They're just like Mexican gangsters kind of stuff that are just like so. A lot of them are just like so in the first season at least, like just really really over the top silly kind of thing, And I used to bug people. I used to joke that like it was a racist show because of that kind of thing, like that it was just portraying these people. And then someone that I know who's Mexican was like, no, we're just glad that they're in the show kind of thing. They were like, we're happy that like there's that angle to it, that it's actually talking about the sort of things that like they care about and all that kind of stuff. So I thought that was funny. I also see something similar sometimes with like a lot of like indigenous people in Canada they would wear like Cleveland Indians hats and stuff, and like stuff like that. Like just
I saw that in Washington a little bit too.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I get that too. That it's like they're just reclaiming it in a certain way too. So
yeah.
So you should maybe wear like a Aladdin t-shirt or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, next one says Virgil Texas did not kill himself, which I thought that was pretty funny, but it's a little bit like Twitter, internet kind of, I don't know. Yeah, anyway, moving on. Next one says, God is gay, have gay sex with God, Allahu Akbar. All right, thanks for that one. Amazing.
I see, that could be like a friend of ours being goofy.
Yeah.
That could be someone that's like really angry. That could be a lot of different possible people. So I like that one. So
Sure. Um, Next question is, are Christianity and Islam basically DLC patches for Judaism? At first I was like, no, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, maybe kinda, but you have to think about it. It's less like it's just some new skins and it's not just like some little kind of fluffy content pack or something like it. These are wide-reaching overhauls and rebalancing of a like terribly broken, overpowered sort of original system that it needed these patches and fixes and stuff like that. So if you think about it that way, then I'll agree to it.
Okay. So like, I'm not really sure if this is true. This is kind of, I mean, we've talked about it a lot, but I'm not really sure how this works. Is it sort of like that the Quran is like, the message is sort of like specifically, is it really like that kind of like the New Testament kind of thing? You know, like, is it like supposed to be the accumulation of that sort of like Jewish to Christian to Muslim tradition? Or is it supposed to be more expansive than that and sort of group in other faiths as well?
Probably the second one, although I'm not really sure. I think just because I don't, I know from talking to you about it, but I don't really know that well, like how to situate the Old Testament and New Testament and stuff. But the idea is that there have been revelations and prophets who were usually intended for their own specific communities.
Sure.
Yeah. And the Quranic revelation is intended for essentially it's not so much that it's like just this one's actually intended for everybody. It's more like the community is now everybody.
Sure.
So if that makes sense.
So like, were Jewish priests basically like proto-Muslim priests?
Yeah. So like, I would see it more as like an Abrahamic tradition.
Okay.
Which is also the same as other traditions from a certain angle, like other prophets in other places that are not like connected to Abraham in that part of the world and all that kind of stuff. They were also, prophets of the same God, preaching the same message, taught by the same angels, all that kind of stuff. But the Abrahamic line, which is kind of like the Judaism, Christianity, Islam thing, that's all like, they're sort of like united in a certain way from an Islamic perspective, like because of the same prophets and whatnot, like there's a certain lineage of prophets and stuff that were, for whatever reason, those ones are like highlighted, and probably in part because of like where they are in the world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? I'm not really sure, because I feel like I'm not sure what you're asking exactly. So.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, it's just I was just thinking of it in terms of the Christian thing, where it's like, because this comes up a lot, right? Where it's like Christianity sees itself much more as like 2.0 kind of thing, right? Like, it's like a lot of it is like basically that, there's an explicit sort of place for the extant Jewish faith at the time, sort of integrated into Christianity. And it's like, in its self-conception, it's basically like the Jewish faith become universal kind of thing. So almost in a certain way, and then the Messiah has come and all this kind of stuff. So it's very confusing, because, that's obviously considered very offensive to some Jewish people and stuff. So,
I mean, that's not too far from, I think, the way that Islam views itself, so to speak, because like I think the idea is that Jews had certain prophets and stuff, like a number of them, right? Like much more than Christians or Muslims had, right? Like Christians had Jesus, Muslims had Muhammad, whereas like Jews had many people over the course of history.
Sure. Yeah.
And then from an Islamic perspective, Jesus comes to, I mean, he's like very important. So it's not just like he's like the opening act or something, but he comes and promises that there will be somebody else coming later, namely Muhammad. And then, and kind of like sets the stage for that universalization that comes through Islam. And I think the traditions of Judaism and Christianity, like those, like the religious traditions, rather than like the theological kind of underpinnings to it, are seen as like sort of offshoots from the straight path kind of a thing. Like they get 90% of it right, but there's like some core pieces that are missing that require like this reform of Islam to like correct the message, so to speak, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because it's not like Islam is trying to, in its own kind of like self image or whatever, it's not trying to like introduce radically new things, which I think you could say about Christianity compared to Judaism, you know? I think like maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm just sort of like trying to feel this out. I think Islam is like saying that it's more like here's the message that was always the message, you know? It's not trying to do anything new except that like it's calling back to that original sort of thing with its own particular like specifics about like your personal behavior and like the law and all that kind of stuff, you know, like that. There are some like changes and innovations there, but they're relatively minor, and they're more like those are in place because of the community that the religion is now intended for.
Sure, but so there's no, I mean, but there's no priesthood in
Islam,
right?
no.
There's no. And that's fundamental to Jewish and Christianity. So I just didn't know how that translates over or something.
That's
like that.
true.
So,
I don't really know, actually, if that's treated as like that was always wrong and crazy or something like that. That's just like some kind of... I could see that as... Like, I honestly haven't read anything about that, but I could see it going all kinds of different ways. I could see it being viewed as some sort of like horribly offensive heresy or something, or I could see it as like, no, that was just something for that time, and now we moved away from it, you know?
Yeah,
it could really go either way. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think that the way that it sort of is handled in Protestantism is just that everyone is called to be a priest to some extent. So there's always that kind of solution or something like that too, where it's like, instead of a special mission of one group of people, it's supposed to be everyone's responsibility to teach the faith and stuff like that. So yeah, I could see something like that. Yeah,
I mean, I guess like Muslims certainly have like a clerical sort of class of people, but it's like theologically it's pretty different. Like there's no kind of special like office that they hold that has any kind of like cosmological significance or anything, you know. It's just like people who have studied a lot. It's basically nerds, you know. There's just like, nerds are good to ask questions of. That's kind of the extent that it goes. Like they tend to know a lot of stuff because they spend all their time reading things.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, we're basically like like that, you know. We're like the people of knowledge for for like Twitter addicts, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, shall we move on from this one?
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, I've recently been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Docs gave me 6 to 8 months. I haven't really accomplished anything with my life. Is there anything you could suggest to make it all worthwhile? Wow, really hard to tell if this is a joke or not, you know?
You never
kind of
know.
puts you on the spot. Like, it's like you kind of want to be like, it seems sort of like it's probably a joke. But if it's not, it's like, okay, really don't want to step on anyone's toes here, I guess. I have no idea, man.
Yeah, I would just try to spend as much time with people as you can. Probably worry less about emptying your Netflix queue and all that kind of stuff. Just to, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, just do what you want, I guess, right? Like, just...
Yeah.
You got 6 to 8 months and 0 consequences, so you can kind of do whatever you want. You can drive trucks into whoever, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, what would be, I guess, like, if there's a place you always wanted to travel to or something, or...
I don't know. I wouldn't be traveling if that was the case, too. I feel like that's probably, like, cancer or something. I don't know.
Well,
it's not like they're just
die. Like,
it's not. Well, I mean that like it's I don't know. Fair enough.
Yeah, I feel like if you got 6 to 8 months, if it ends up being 2, you missed 4 months in exchange for like a nice trip to the Bahamas or something. I don't know, maybe that's worth it. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it really depends like what condition you're in, you know? If you're like laid up in bed and like can't speak, can't move, that sucks. I really don't know what you could do about that. But if it's just like you just walk around like normal until 8 months and then you drop dead, then I don't know. I wonder if they are religious. How does that change things a little bit? If you're Muslim, maybe try and get your Hajj in, I guess.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't know. I just try to surround yourself with other people, I would say, instead of being like trying to make any sort of life achievement kind of thing. Just,
Yeah. Although that's something that has never really registered as important for me, so it seems like that maybe matters to this person.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like I'm not going to accomplish anything that anyone's going to remember, so I just don't worry about it. You know? Like,
yeah. I feel like you probably wouldn't change your routine much.
Me? No, I'm doing exactly what I like to do, which is like nothing. No, I would probably think about it and try to come up with something. I really don't know. I get to spend a lot of time with tabs right now, so that would be good. I would want to keep doing that, but probably some traveling or something. Yeah. Anyway, hope you get better. If that's possible, I really, we don't know the details on this, but yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so let's move on. Next one says, from 2015 to now, I've been so blackpilled that I think it is more likely for the NHS to be privatized in our lifetime than U.S. getting public health care. I hope they make an English-speaking city in China for immigrants that are too stupid to learn Chinese. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm betting on, too. I think it's called Hong Kong, and that's sort of my... I don't know. That's my next plan. I think maybe move there for a few years, see what happens. Patriotic Chinese at that point. Just just to see if I can find a niche there.
People would keep asking you, "Are you American?" Like, no, and then they'd be all disappointed, like, "Oh, Canadian."
Yeah. So I think that's the plan. So. No, I don't know. These things come in like big waves and stuff, so I don't really buy the idea that things are just going to keep getting worse for like social programs and stuff like that. I think that things could get a lot better. I mean, they did get a lot better in waves and stuff like that around the world at different times and stuff. And like, I don't know. I'm not defeatist about that kind of stuff. I think that like it could happen. Now, it's also possible that like certain things will get a lot better because things are getting worse overall.
That's what I tend to think.
It might be that like everyone's like boiling alive from climate change and there's socialized healthcare now or something. Like it's not like
and a lot of cool NFTs.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if the Taliban can do it, why can't we do it? You know, they beat the U.S. they kicked him out. They're implementing base Sharia or whatever. So there's hope in the world, you know? Did you see what Evo Morales was saying about the vaccines and stuff?
No, what was he saying?
I mean, the tweet I saw this in was some, I have never heard of this news agency before. It's probably some like, you know, Russian teenager made this or something. But the quote in the video, I didn't really watch the video. I don't know if that's what he was actually saying or anything. But anyway, what was quoted was Evo saying that like he's very suspicious of this so-called coronavirus and that the hashtag NWO has been setting up depopulation for a long time and blah blah blah. Like they have, he's like sounded fully like QAnon'd up, which is pretty cool. That's a cool turn for him.
Yeah. So I don't know. Normally he says reasonable things, so I'm going to trust him on that too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Coca doesn't make you too crazy, right? Like, doesn't it? It's pretty mild compared to like cocaine and all the other stuff that's made out of it.
I don't know. I thought it was like something like cat or something like that, kind of just a mild kind of thing or something.
Kind of like caffeine or nicotine or something. Like, doesn't really make you like crazy.
Yeah,
but who knows? I don't know. He's had an interesting sort of like history, because I remember like when he first became president and everyone was, including myself, was like pretty excited about that. Like that was pretty cool. This indigenous union leader managed to like become the president. You know, that's pretty neat. He seemed to be doing a lot of good things for indigenous people and stuff. And then in like a couple years or whatever into it, started to see stuff like there was strikes that he was repressing pretty harshly and stuff. I was like, this doesn't seem right. I don't know. Like, you know, you got to do what you got to do. I understand like how this stuff works a little bit, but I was like, okay, you know, I don't know. It sort of just like made me kind of like look at him a little bit differently. Like he's not just like Mr. Good Guy, you know.
Sure.
And now if he did say this stuff, that's kind of like cool. All right, he's just like completely deteriorating.
Yeah, it's sort of anytime that you invest hope in sort of like a left populist leader, you sort of have to accept that you're going to get a lot of bad with it kind of thing. Like, you know, stuff like Chavez exhuming the bones of Simon Bolivar or something like that, you know, like
that was awesome. I mean, that's cool.
You know, just I don't know, just like you get a lot of weird things with it, and I don't know, there online you can't even talk about this kind of stuff really much anymore because people have like 2 or 3 things that they know about it, and then they just hammer those negatively, like really, really,
yeah,
you know, like it's like because they're like, well, the coup regime was evil and stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's obviously true, but like, I don't know, it's like, yeah, people can also be like, yeah, the other government wasn't as great too, but you know, and still support it, but be like, you know, I don't know, it's just I don't know, it's very, very narrow debate online. So
people have too much energy for that. It's like undead, like just crazy zombie energy, you know. It's spooky. It reminds me of like K-pop fans, you know, like you say something about some K-pop thing and like 1,000 people with the same avatar, the same like little Asian kid in their avatar, like just start screaming at you, and somehow you're fired like within an hour, you know. That's the kind of energy that people are bringing to this like political stuff that they don't have no connection to. They're not Bolivian or whatever. They have they don't even really understand what's going on. They just kind of like had someone tell them something and they read some article, you know. It's crazy. Anyway, next one says, App Dev admits TikTok and his app use data stolen from people's minds. Author of the Randonautica app confirmed on a live stream that both his app and TikTok are using data they steal from users' minds with hardware backdoors. His, I always pronounce this wrong, naivety, no, he spelt this wrong, but naivete, you know?
Yep.
Naiveness is thinking the military isn't using this for terrorism.
That's interesting. Yeah, well, keep the reports coming.
Yeah. Love to hear more.
It's helpful
about
information.
This.
Yeah.
You know, Trump tried to ban TikTok, and everyone said, like, no, Trump, don't ban it. We want TikTok. And now look what's happening. The military is stealing your mind. Whatever this is saying. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep going. Do you think legalization of physician-assisted suicide in cases of chronic depression, as has happened in Belgium and the Netherlands, is the beginning of a move towards a future where vast swaths of people are encouraged to end their lives with dignity? Ooh. This is how they're going to get rid of the incels and the gamers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this has become a big thing in Canada recently because the government was pushing through like assisted suicide bill, and there was some discussion about like the fact that it might be sort of used in those sort of directions and stuff, and the sort of like disability rights community and stuff were actually really strongly against it. The main people against it were like more conservative people that just oppose euthanasia in general, kind of thing, you know, like the Catholic Church is really strong against it and stuff. And there's also like a lot of like sort of conspiracy stuff around that too that, you know, plays into it. But like there was actually quite a large left disability rights kind of stuff. Sort of, you know, it runs the gamut from like sort of woke kind of things about like very disability, like as an identity kind of stuff, to more like, you know, just standard sort of like poor people in bad situations get screwed over and by the doctors and stuff. That's also true. And, it wouldn't surprise me if, you know, you do get situations like that where people feel like they're shepherded into suicide, basically, because of their situation and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. I have like, I feel like a lot of these things are, at the end of the day, sort of rounding errors, numbers wise, probably, in the medical system. Like the medical system, it's like very, very easy to like just say go to a hospital and get an infection from someone else or something, or from like maltreatment or something, or just mistakes and stuff. Like it's like really, really surprising how many people die from medical errors and stuff like that.
Well, that's the NWO agenda, the depopulation agenda in action. It's not surprising to me or Evo.
But like, if you look at like statistically, those are probably way, way more relevant kind of things in terms of like, you know, I don't know. I get like it's not good as like a, I really, really get like a visceral thing behind it of not wanting a doctor to have that kind of power and stuff like that. I really do get that at like a deep level myself, because of like, especially like, you know, having to deal with doctors when I was depressed and stuff. And but at the same time, it's really, really hard to imagine a situation where that it's not, I mean, it's already pervasive, I think, anyways. Like, you know, there's so many different situations where people take their own lives medically and stuff like that, that just or, you know, with assistance and stuff that like just happens quietly. And it's not like, you know, if anything, like maybe making it more formal might be make it, you know, it doesn't necessarily make it much more widespread, I'm not sure. So yeah,
maybe we should go to a system like the medieval witch stuff, where they would like see if the if she can float, she's a witch and you gotta burn her. If she doesn't float, then she wasn't a witch, but she drowns, kind of a thing.
Sure.
Maybe we do something like that. We just like people who want to be euthanized, they we're just like, oh, it sounds like you're a witch. We have to run some tests to see if you're actually a witch, you know? And then if they float, I guess then they don't get to kill themselves because they're witches or something. That's their punishment. They don't get to die because they're witches and they've been, making pacts with Satan or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
But if they're not witches, then they get what they want and everyone's happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'm glad you agree. I got all the answers. You just got to pose the question and give me a minute to think, and I'll come up with the answers for you.
Sure.
Okay. Next one is Brace Belden a CIA asset? All right. A lot of kind of inside baseball questions this episode, I guess. Yeah, but we're all CIA assets,
Sure.
Yeah. We're all CIA assets. Like
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between being like a CIA agent, which I am, but I don't think Brace is, but then being an asset, like, sure,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're playing you all like puppets. You're all assets.
Yeah. For me, in my situation, basically, I'm paid to eavesdrop on the left, but I don't actually get my money yet. I get it when I turn 65. They've given them, like, they're going to put like $3 million in an account, and then I collect it when I'm 65, and I get to go move to the Bahamas or whatever, or Bolivia or something, and like just coast off that. And that's why I have to live with my parents right now, even though I'm a CIA. So,
the day before your 65th birthday, guy in a lab coat shows up and is like, "Sir, we have to run some tests to determine whether or not there's been witchcraft in the premises."
Oh, no. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, Brace is all right. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
The whole Syria business is weird. I don't know what to think about that, but based, just from talking to him, he seems fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so next question says, comedy has an expiration date? ?
I do think it's probably contextual in different ways, but like, there's still, you can read like old plays and stuff and still think it's funny, or like at least that they make a good point or something like that. Like people still watch like Shakespeare or whatever and stuff like that. I don't know. I guess there's something to it. Now I do think it probably does have like, it's harder because it depends on what it is. If it's like about race or something like that, you can watch like something from the 70s about race, and it still is very relevant just because the underlying conditions have gotten worse to some extent. And I don't know, just like
they still drive like that, like,
Sure. Yeah. So, anyways,
Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor are two like legends that I feel really have an expiration date, so to speak.
Sure. Yeah.
Like they really feel dated.
Well, it's hard because Lenny Bruce is doing something where the police are harassing him for saying cocksucker on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And trying to actually ruin his life, and successfully ruining his life, really, at the end of the day. Basically harassing him for saying a swear word. It's hard to sort of take that out of context and be like, oh, this guy said a swear word, therefore he's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, we don't have the same social tension that he did. Where he's basically like pioneering something. Same with Richard Pryor and a lot of it, where it's like, you kind of have to imagine back the fact that like he's speaking in a certain way that was basically unheard of, but now is really much more common, especially among stand-up comedians, where everyone sort of thinks of themselves in those ways. Now, I think maybe we're in a turning point where we've gotten so many comedians over the last 5-10 years that do the exact same type of like relationship jokes, geek culture jokes, all this kind of stuff, that like, some of that can still seem refreshing, but like, even like Bill Hicks, Bill Hicks only has like a limited amount of material, and he's not like, a lot of his jokes are pretty straightforward, just kind of like lifestyle, kind of like, him being a kind of like eccentric guy kind of thing, just being out of the loop on a lot of things and stuff. But like him like ranting on stage and stuff on his like more bootleg sets and stuff are like, it's hard to sort of relate to it. unless you're like an enthusiast kind of thing, you know, like you just really like when comedians take it out on their audiences and stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I guess it just depends.
Sure.
All right, so has Stephen Colbert ever been funny? Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah. Early Colbert Report, even like the...
Yeah. Harvey Birdman, the attorney at law.
Yeah.
Cartoon series.
What was the skit show? Strangers with Candy? Was that what he was on?
He was on Strangers with Candy, I think, and then stuff like that around that. I think Mr. Show, maybe. I'm not sure if he was on that as well. A little bit,
maybe.
Not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, he's a funny guy.
I mean, he was.
Now he's just. Well, it's kind of hard because, yeah, he his personality, I don't think suits the grind of the kind of show he's doing now, kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm not really, but I mean, I'm not going to be a huge candidate for that, anyways. But yeah,
I heard somebody say that his his Catholicness is a big part of why he's such like a company man type of a guy now. That like
they say that. Yeah,
you think that makes sense?
Oh, it's 100% true. Yeah, he teaches Sunday school and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I think, and Jimmy Fallon is like that as well, I think. And yeah, there's sort of like that entertainer, comedian, Catholic tradition or something, like Irish or something like that kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
where it is like, Conan O'Brien is another one. I don't know if Conan O'Brien's religious. Like, I don't know, but like he obviously is very, very Irish and stuff. So, but yeah, there was a certain point where like basically all of the late night talk show hosts were Catholic guys. So, yeah, and it's funny because that is actually stuff like that is one of the things where there is this sort of grievance that happens sometimes, amongst like Jewish comedians and stuff, basically being like, why don't we ever get the big shows and stuff? Why don't we ever get like a lot of the things?
Jewish comedians complain about this?
Oh yes.
Good.
And it's hard to sympathize unless you kind of see really, really up close some of the stuff. I think that like where it's like you kind of get what they're getting at, even though it's kind of silly. It's like, it's the people that are like, well, how come we're writing all the scripts, producing it, directing it and stuff or whatever, maybe, and then not starring in it or something like that. Kind of, like there's that kind of like attitude. And there was this movie that came out recently called Shiva Baby. Have you seen this or heard of this or no? It's like a funeral or something. I don't know if it's like a comedy drama kind of thing, whatever. And like the person that starred in it as like a young Jewish woman is Rachel Sennett. And
who's that? Non-Jew?
Oh yes, she's not Jewish, and I feel like a lot of the things you see online are people arguing about this. I see it a lot in little ways here and there. It made people, I think, extremely angry that a non-Jewish woman was used in a prominent, like sort of low, like good introductory role to a person kind of thing, like stuff like that. So I don't know. I find that kind of stuff kind of fascinating. It's just like really, it's missing the forest for the trees or whatever, that saying, like just really missing the point kind of thing. And I don't know, but that's a big grievance. There was actually a few viral tweets about this the other day about like people being like, we need more Jewish representation in Hollywood and stuff like that. and it's 100% like straight. It's 100% like being honest.
That's really funny.
Yeah. Andy Kindler. Yeah. Andy Kindler used to complain about this in one of his sets and stuff about that.
He's great. Like I really like him.
Yeah. Yeah. I love him too. But like, he would complain that like, he would never be, he would basically like pretend not to be Jewish on the show. He was just joking because he can't obviously pretend that, but like, and he said that like, he'd be like the TV executives, they don't really want him in a role kind of thing, like, I don't know,
Yeah.
like someone that's like extremely Jewish or something like that. Basically, they don't like that kind of guy on TV and stuff. And I don't know. I thought that was funny.
Have you seen
but,
that
yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Larry pretends to not be Jewish like he's going to the baseball game and drinking beers? He's wearing like a baseball cap and a flannel shirt and stuff.
No, I haven't seen that.
I don't really
I should
remember the
watch
context of that,
Yeah.
but it was so funny, and he just has like so much fun in the thing. He's like, I don't know, he's the best. Larry David's awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just imagining Andy Kindler doing that and being like, "See, I can do it."
yeah.
I heard Sarah Silverman say something about like there's a Jew face problem in Hollywood. Is that
Yeah, she did that. I think she might have even been directly referencing that movie too.
okay?
Or maybe like indirectly or something. Yeah.
That's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. They might have a point, I don't really
That's the thing.
care.
It's not like it's
It's
like,
just hilarious.
Yeah.
Jew face problem, and then people can interpret that in all kinds of different ways that everyone might agree with it.
Yeah. Anyways, why don't we wrap up pretty soon?
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's do this last one. Kind of completes the theme here that we've been going on. Do you guys think the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, that Jew too ashamed of his Jewishness, funny? A little bit of like grammar helps a lot with interpreting these questions, guys. Just a little bit of effort.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. No. It was a great show at the time, mostly because it was irreverent in a way that like it's hard to understate. I mean, like to overstate how like just boring and crazy the news was otherwise. Like it was one of the first shows that like sort of turned on the war effort in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
in limited ways and stuff. It was like still very, very liberal and stuff, and still very, very like, I think I sort of grew sick of it pretty quickly because we would call it like stuff like Republican said a thing and stuff. And
Yeah.
he would have like guests on and he would never really challenge them and stuff. He had like Musharraf on once, which is like, just like being like, oh, you got a new book out, eh? Kind of thing. And it's like, what are you talking? Why are you treating this? He would do that all the time with all the different, like, big Republican guys and all that kind of stuff. And, it was, there were a lot of limitations to it, but like, you gotta think that like, if you flip the channel to something else, it would be like, we would think of it as almost like far right today or something like that. It'd be like ABC talking about like, how we all have to fundraise to get money for armor for the troops or something like that.
How much torture is too little torture and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was kind of honest to Jon Stewart. It's like his perspective. Like I feel it doesn't seem like he was really pulling his punches. Like I don't think he's like a secret like Chapo Trap House guy or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that even though I sort of think Chapo and the Daily Show are kind of the same thing, but anyway.
No, I know what you mean. That like there is this kind of it really depends on like Chapo really depends a lot on hyperbole and black and white kind of thinking. A lot of it is that's set up that way, and sort of using like creative insults and stuff like that kind of thing to just totally destroy people and stuff and their reputations and stuff. But I think that's true. But I also think that like that at least for the last few years and stuff has been like a breath of fresh air for me compared to hearing just a lot of the liberal stuff otherwise and stuff. It's like
Sure.
it's nice because it feels like sort of stuff that we would talk about before here. Some of it at least would be like stuff that we would have talked about on the Rizone or something like that. Like sort of like conspiracies about the presidency and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of like critiquing liberal NGO figures and all this kind of stuff. And it's nice to have that as like just kind of a companion while you're going around the house doing things and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Felix, that Jew too ashamed of his Jewishness, funny?
Yeah.
I don't think
So,
either of them
anyways.
are ashamed of their Jewishness. Jews are so weird about that. We really are overdue for a Jewish episode. People keep asking for us to do one, and I've always like firmly put my foot down and said, you know, I'll do a lot, but I won't do that.
Sure.
But maybe it's time. I don't know.
Yeah,
we need to sort some things out
that will fit that. Someone that is actually
like religious,
faithfully. Yeah, that'd be good. I don't know. Maybe we can get like, we can get Rachel Sennett from Shiva Baby on.
I'll reach out to APAC, see if we could get a representative on here.
Sure. Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah, let's wrap it up there. If you guys like this episode and you'd like another episode every week, you can get that by subscribing to our Patreon, where you will get that second episode as well as access to our Discord, where you can chat with us in our lovely community. If you want to send us anonymous questions to answer, you can go to our Twitter account at YouCan'tWinPod, and you'll find a link to the Curious Cat pin there. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Thanks, guys.